in terms of getting people on board, because you're expanding on your own as well, is that a project over, or is that a continuing process?
No, that's a continuing process. As you know, to get high quality people is a challenge, and that makes a difference. And especially I found in the financial services, the most important thing is the quality of people, and more important than that is the culture and the values that you have. And therefore, in our system, we insist on getting people at lower levels and then bringing them up
in the system,
because that's when they get our cultures and our values. And I think that's the most important. Otherwise, financial services is not as complicated a business as sometimes is made out to be.
In terms of, so I go back to the question about restructuring business. By the way, I must tell you that analysts have already putting down numbers in terms of what Shriram Group is going to looks like, and what Piramal looks like, what the combined business will look like. So you are telling us, well, that is not on the anvil, at least not right now. It is not something which you're looking at. You want to grow both those businesses individually, right?
Correct.
And there's enough runway to grow. So a question I've asked you over the years is there a plan to demerge the financial services business and list that separately?
So we have been talking about this, whether to demerge or separate out the financial services business. There was, as the business was growing, there has been a demand, let me say, from the investors to know that they wanted to have more transparency as to what we're doing in financial services. And therefore we said that yes, we will separate it out, and I still continue to say that we will separate it out. We will do that in the medium term. But before that, we are also, anyway, what we are trying to do from this year onwards is to make the numbers more transparent. The financial services business is being moved out of the Piramal Enterprises to its subsidiary. It's already moved out in this in the last quarter, and therefore, that's what we are doing.
So will we see something in 18, financial year 18?
Whether it will be 18 or not, I can't say now, but yeah, you will see a separate business in the
separate listing as well for the financial services
listing will be in the medium term. You will see a separate subsidiary in the year ending FY17 actually.
Okay, but what stops you from listing it separately? I mean,
no, I think just
another large group, the Birla Group, for example, is doing that. So I mean,
each one has their own reasons why they're doing it. We will do it in the right time. Today, I think it's a matter of time, really. Our other businesses, our pharma businesses, are also actually doing quite well. We are investing in that. We have invested both organically and inorganic means in the pharma. So if you see the last 18 months, we've made significant investments in pharma.
No, I mean, I was looking at a number that over the last 2 years, you've invested about 1,800 crores in healthcare acquisitions.
Correct.
I mean, that kind of flies, it doesn't get that much attention. The financial services.
I think everybody talks about financial services.
So, but you're saying that business is doing very well.
That's doing well, and we are investing in it. Okay. So you'll see some more investments going on into that space. So this number of 1,800 is actually going to go up.
The other business is the information and data business in the US, right? And that did revenues of about 1,150 crores last year. And that is also, I was looking at growth rate, that has also grown very fast.
So again, if I look at the information business, actually data is what everybody talks about today, as you know. We are in the space of data information. We say that we convert our information into wisdom. And that's one area, and it's in the healthcare space, and so much data is being generated in healthcare. And especially if you look at the US, where 16, 17, 18% of GDP is grown on health, and there if you can make efficient use of this data, it's going to be huge value. So that's what we are working on, whether it's in terms of data analytics, whether it's in terms of making better interpretation of what's happening. So that's an area that we are in. When we acquired this business, it was really mainly out of US and Europe. We moved a fair amount of the growth has come from adding people in India as well. So
and there are plans, by the way, to list that in the US?
We will list that in the US again in the medium term. So in the medium term, I see in the Piramal Enterprises is actually having 3 listed entities. One would be the pharma space, the other will be the financial services, and the third will be the data.
Will be the data. And medium term you define as 2 years.
Let's see, medium, let me leave it at that.
So what's your view about what's happening from the government side to push growth? We've had this, many people say that the economy was just about starting to take off. I mean, at least earnings expectations were rising from the corporate side. And then you had this demonetization event which happened, and that kind of disrupted things. This year, for example, in financial year 17, we will mostly see 0%, 2% kind of earnings growth, corporate earnings growth. What's your view? I mean, how long do you think we'll have to wait for really, I mean, animal spirits to come back, growth to pick up, etc.?
So I think overall, I think first of all, I feel that the demonetization was a step in the right direction. I think we needed it, and this will only help growth rate in the future, at least for organized businesses like ours. It's going to be a plus. Yes, we've suffered maybe for a couple of months, but it doesn't matter so much not in the long term. In the immediate short term, it should benefit. It'll benefit because interest rates will also come down, and that I've seen always grows in the economy. Growth rates to come up, I think government spending has definitely gone up. It is now for the private sector to increase the spending. And that is, actually that remains a challenge. One is that I feel that the banks have, first of all, a lot of balance sheets of the corporate sector were stretched, and many companies had NPAs or large loans on there. And I don't think they've been able to sort out that problem still. So that continues to remain. The second thing is that the banks, though they have a lot of funds available with them, have now become naturally cautious in lending. Because of the large NPAs that they have and the risks that they have had undertaken in the past. So that will also probably have to banks will have to sort that one out.
But these have worked to your advantage in that.
They have, actually, they have worked to our advantage. Frankly, both ways. One is that there are many more loans we can give. Also, the banks want to lend to you, so there's enough competition, so the cost of funds is also attractive.
Do you expect cost of funds to come down meaningfully?
I hope so. I think with all this is happening in the environment, I expect at least between 150 to 200 basis points coming down.
In this year, in 2017? Or
17 by March 18, I think. That's what I feel.
Mr. Piramal, before I wrap up, you have spoken about the concept of trusteeship. I mean, in terms of running your business, the culture that you just referred to, etc. You are on the board of Tata Sons. Could you talk to us a little bit about not the exacts of what is going on, because there are legal proceedings underway, but what is your impression in terms of what we have all seen over the last many months now?
I mean, what we've seen is that it's pretty unfortunate that Tata Sons, we must recognize, is a private company. And if somebody who has a 2/3 majority wishes to change the chairman and CEO, it should be a normal process. It could have been done, but it's been highlighted too much. And people have not appreciated that it is a company where performance was not what was expected to be. Very often I hear the thing that, we had one chairman for 4.5 years, and if we are to blame the past after even 4.5 years, there is a problem. The Prime Minister of India is elected for a 5-year term. The President of the US is elected for a 4-year term. You can't, during that, at the end of your term, say, listen, the previous one had done a mess. So if the performance is not up to the mark, then it's up to the person who's running it for 4.5 years to account.
But it was not at the end of Mr. Mistry's term. That was also
4.5 years, but it's still 4.5 years. And
do you think it could have been handled better? I mean, from the starting point, which was his removal, from that point on.
But what I understand, and I was not privy to it at that, there had been conversations before there, and this is what comes out all in the press. So it was obviously not a sudden decision.
It was well thought out.
Yeah, and I think it was also expected from what I see the reaction of the other side. When I see that reaction, it's obviously expected as well.
It has, you would agree, sullied the reputation of, I mean, one of the top corporate houses
I
in the
think
country.
it's sullied the reputation of all business, and it's not a very good thing to do. But when, I mean, a lot of, I know a lot of facts have been twisted and given out in the public domain, which is unfortunate.
How do you see this progressing? I mean, what
so obviously, if you look at shareholder democracy, it's very clear that the shareholders have voted on their feet, whether it is the public institutions, whether it's the individual shareholders, they have shown overwhelming support for Mr. Tata. And I think things will, I hope they will sort out in the near future. It's good for India because Tata is not just any other company. It really represents India. And you talk about concept of trusteeship. I think we've learned it from people like Mr. Tata or the Tata Group. I mean, right from the beginning, now we hear of cases of how people have donated all their wealth in the US to public charitable causes that Tata did it 150 years ago.
Mr. Mistry, though, in his last communication said, well, I want to take it to a higher platform. A bigger platform is what he called it. So although investors have voted with their feet, shareholders, etc., but I mean, he is still carrying the battle on, calling for reform.
So I think, so let's see what happens. I hope better sense prevails. That's the only thing I can say.
But as of now, it is the legal route. I mean, essentially, courts have to weigh in and decide this matter.
Yes. To the extent courts can play a role in everything, yes, they will decide.
Mr. Piramal, thank you very much for your time, sir. Really a pleasure.
Thank you, Prashant.
Thanks.